Once upon a time, a phrase we have all heard growing up, usually the start of fairy tales and wonderful stories. As we become older, we use the phrase to reminisce about our childhood and how the fairy tales we were exposed to might have shaped our experiences and personality. I personally was obsessed with Barbie and the Witch series and the Disney classics and all sorts of comic books I could get my hands on. So today, I'll take you on a little tour of part of my childhood bookshelf. Come along for the ride, kids! If there is a loud ticking noise that you can hear, it's my Mickey Mouse wall clock that's up there. It's been there my whole life and it is quite loud, but we'll leave it there. I hope it's not disturbing. So, to start with, what can I show you? So there are a few things that have been added very recently. Of course, there's the many graduation photos from Oxford. I still don't have my Cambridge one, hopefully soon. There are some of the little winning Best Performer award. So this was from high school. And another outstanding performance award from school. We'll leave that here. So let's start from the early days. Of course, early days, we went through a lot of storybooks. I have all of the Disney ones. So we have Sleeping Beauty, the Snow White, Cinderella. For some reason, I have 3 identical Cinderellas. I don't even know why, but we do. There you go. 3 identical Cinderellas. Probably stole that from someone. And then I have loads of French books. So, Le Copain de la Ville, which I think I stole from my sister. Pretty sure I did. Yep, it has my sister's name in it. This is not mine, but that's there. And then there are loads of Barbies, of course. Loads of Barbies. Oh, and of course, I had these Mauritian ones, which were in Creole. So this is about 2 slave kids back in Mauritius during the time of slavery, which was a very, very good book. Really interesting to give us an insight on the history of our country. And of course I have these ones, Entrons dans la Ronde des Contes. So these are the very famous stories that we all know. Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Peter Pan, but they're all in French. This was one of my favorite books growing up. Of course, The Adventures of Barbie, again in French. I think that's pretty much it. I think all of my kiddie books were the ones that my sister had, so they're all in her room. So this does not have a lot of those in here. So I guess we can move on to the next stage, which was pre-primary school. I went to this place called Changhua, which is a Chinese name. And it was really cool. I really enjoyed it there. I was even in the news once. I don't know why, but I still have the clipping. I don't even know what this was for, but there is this news clipping where I am in it. And I don't know why, but we had a cool uniform. And so I spent, 2 years there? Great fun. I was a great performer, started dancing there, started singing, writing poems. I was a bit of an artsy kid back in pre-primary school. And then went to primary school, which was Notre-Dame de la Paix, and that was in Port-Louis, which is the city. And we initially had this yellow shirt uniform there with a blue pleated skirt, and then we changed to a blue polo shirt. I think my biggest accomplishment was that we released our first school magazine when I was in my final year of primary school, so I was 11, and I was selected to handwrite an article to be published in it. Somewhere, there we go. That's in 2003. First school magazine. And so I'll put up the photo here. There's a class photo. It was the first time we ever took a class photo. Like, we never did these things before, of course. But since then, they've been doing it on a regular basis. But I was invited to write a story about the day of the National Independence Day, which is the 12th of March in Mauritius. And I was told to write about the ceremony. So in schools, when we do that, there's someone who comes and, there's the flag raising ceremony and everyone has fun. So I was told to write about this. And here it is. Ta-da! And look at my little name there. My handwriting hasn't changed much. This is from 2003. Damn, 19 years ago. But here we go. This is my claim to fame from primary school. And while I was in primary school, I did a lot of reading again, and I got really into these comics. So I was into Lucky Luke, I don't know if you know that. So I was reading all of these, and then I also started reading, what are they called? These ones. Les Femmes en Blanc, which are about nurses. And then, oh yeah, I started reading these about Agent 212, which was about a policeman who was very, very lazy. And then Achille Talon, I don't know if people know that. Asterix and Obelix, of course. I have several ones. Oh, another thing I really got into, which was collecting sticker books. I had the Barbie one, of course. I was a little bit obsessed with Barbie, so I actually finished this book, got all the stickers in. And then which I think a lot of people find surprising, is that I also used to collect football sticker books. So this one was not completed. It was almost impossible, but I used to love buying the stickers and going back to school, swapping them around with the boys. And this was very exciting. I used to do it for every World Cup while I was in school, so I have a lot of them in here somewhere. There we go, there's another one. This one I completed entirely, which was a big accomplishment. This one was the Brazil one, which is pretty cool. 2014. So there we go. And actually a lot of these little books here are actually books that I used to get at the prize giving ceremony. So every year in primary school and even in secondary school, I would get these prizes for coming first. I was first every year in school. I'm a nerd. So every year I would get either book vouchers or you would actually get little books. And at first they used to give these really like boring books about anatomy, or like these ones, you know more about history. And I remember telling my teacher, this is really boring because I don't want to read about this. And having come first, I think I've shown you that I do enough of reading about school material. I would rather have more interesting books to read. So then they started giving me a bit more interesting things. So I remember the first one I got was this one called Lion Boy, which was interesting. It was about a kid who can speak cat language. So then that was interesting. And then I got a Harry Potter one as well once. And then all of these are books that I got as prize giving ceremony books. And then in high school, when you were older, they will give you book vouchers. And then I used to buy books myself. And I started getting cooking books. I got like dessert cooking books. This one was in 2007. Okay. And then I got this one, which is very cool, which is the 100 most beautiful squares of the world. And I used to make a little plan of the countries that I would want to visit based on this, which was very, very interesting at a young age. So this is most of that. After that, then I think we can move on to, I went to high school at the age of 11. And at the time in Mauritius, they had this regional system where you had to go to a school that was quite close to where you lived. So I ended up going to Renganaden Senevasen State Secondary School, which is a state school. And the uniform there was blue, pretty much looking like this, with white shirts. And I was there until I was 16. So I did 5 years there. And it was pretty cool. It's on a mountain, very interesting place. And I think the best year I had was when I was 15. We did a lot of shows in school. I used to dance. I used to go to all of the science fairs that existed around the country. We used to participate. I was barely in class. I think my teachers were surprised with my O-level results because they didn't know that I could do that given that I was barely in class. But I had the best time. And one thing I got obsessed with when I was in my early high school days was Witch. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's basically this. So it stands for a name of each of the 5 girls. It's Will, Irma, Tani, Cornelia, and Hélène. And I used to read it in French. And then I found out that it's actually originally English, I think, or American. And I got obsessed with this. My friend from school, Shabnam, who was my best friend, is still my best friend. We were in school always together. And she started buying these magazines, that you will get. So they had loads of little tips for girls, little quizzes, little stories, little DIYs. And then at the back, there was the actual comics of witch in it. And she lended me one of hers once because she bought it in Paris or something, and it was incredible. I got so addicted. And then we found out where they sell it. There was only one bookshop in Mauritius where they would sell it. So every month there's a new edition. And I then had an addiction problem. So then I started buying them every month for like 4 or 5 years. I have loads more of them over there, and every magazine came with a little present, which was very, very cool. And I have a big box with all of them. You get bracelets, nail polish, just little toys. And also they always had like a task, how to draw or something, and I would always learn them. It was just an incredible opportunity for me every month. There was so much to explore, so much to read. There were recipes that I would try. It was a whole different world. And then I found out that they also have their books. So then I bought all of them and started from number 1 to number 13. I bought all of them. I was obsessed with the characters, and I was in a group of, we were a group of 5 girls in high school at that time. So we decided that we were each one of them. I was Will. I don't know why. She was a red-haired tomboy, but that's who I was, and it was just incredible. It was such a good time. I absolutely loved them. And then they started taking out these like other side little books. Bought all of them. And then, you know what, when I was about 18, they came out with a TV show. It was a cartoon. I was too old to watch, and I started watching it. It was not done as nicely because the drawings in the comic books are so nice. The characters are really pretty to look at. The costumes are pretty to look at, and the whole story itself was incredible. It's basically these 5 normal high school girls who are best friends, and they realize that they all share this big secret, that they are all part of this other world as well, where they have magic and they become grown women in the other world, and they have wings, and they each control a different element of the earth. So 4 of them are the 4 elements: water, fire, earth, and wind. And then Will is the one who is the one in charge of them, and she has the locket that helps them transform into these witches. And it was incredible. I loved it. Till date, I still love it. And I am now going to go through all the magazines and reread the stories again. It was incredible. I don't know if I can oversell it, but please read it if you haven't. And then, of course, after I was 16, got my O-levels, I had the best result possible, which was I got a 1 in each subject. I did 7 subjects. And then they aggregate the top 6, so I had a total of 6. So then I was sent to the top star school for girls in Mauritius, which is the Queen Elizabeth College, which I joined when I was 16 till 18. So I did my 2 years of A-levels there. And there the uniform was green, exactly the same uniform as my previous school, just the dress was now dark green instead of dark blue. And over there it was really just intense, because in Mauritius we all prep for this competition to win the laureate, where you get state scholarships to go to university. And I didn't get it in the end. In science they give the first 7 girls, and I was 14th. So I didn't get it, but I ended up going to Oxford and Cambridge, so you know, no regrets. But yes, so that was that. And during my time there I didn't read much, but then after I was done with high school and I was waiting to go to university, I really got into reading, and my sister started buying me a lot of books. She bought me The Hunger Games. She's the one who initiated me to the Hunger Games series, and then I got excited about Sophie Kinsella, and I started reading everything about Sophie Kinsella. Of course, there is the Shopaholic edition. I read everything to do with Shopaholic. I read a lot of Khaled Hosseini, of course, The Kite Runner, Thousand Splendid Suns. Loved it. It was the first time I read a book and I cried. Incredible. My Harry Potter edition is not here. I kept that preciously somewhere else, but I do have that as well. And then I have some French books here, which were books that I actually initially read as part of French literature in school that I didn't really like. But then I discovered them later on as just good reading material. And that was La Gloire de mon Père, Lettres de mon Moulin. So these are all French books. And then I really got into Jane Eyre, which we studied as English literature, but had actually discovered it many, many years ago, thanks to my dad, because he has these like old comic books. So he has Jane Eyre as this really old comic book that's literally falling apart. And I had read this when I was way too young to read this and understand, probably when I was like 10. But then when we did it in school, I was like, I know the story, I know everything. The house is going to get burned. But yeah, that's that. I think we've covered pretty much everything here. Of course, then afterwards, when I joined university, I started reading a lot more deep books, like When Breath Becomes Air. There's Matthew Syed, Rebel Ideas, which is a pretty good book. There's The Boy from the Woods, Khaled Hosseini's new book, which was And the Mountains Echoed, which I didn't really like, to be honest. There are some dictionaries here, more Sophie Kinsella. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's everything. And then my latest edition is my PhD thesis. My baby. It's finally here, printed. Let me show you. There we go. Gold lettering and everything. So this is my latest edition. It goes here, slotted in. Yeah, and then there are loads of other cookery books and of course little storybooks as well. But, oh, let me show you my favourite one. Oh, of course, this the monk who sold his Ferrari for some reason. Gone Girl, my little Barbie book. Look how cute it is. I have way too many Barbie books in here. I should not show people. I have Charmed for some reason, Sabrina, if you know, you know. So this was my favourite book, which I got actually from my teacher, which was about a panda being overweight. And yeah, first prize winner, Stendhal 2. Little nerd. But I really like this book. It was really cool. I realised that's what I say about everything. And of course I have Michelle Obama's book here, which is Becoming. And then the other things that were kept at the back are these things, which are newspaper clippings that my mum has laminated. So there are some of them from college. There's one again when I went to Oxford and Cambridge. And I was offering to help other Mauritians to go to Oxford and Cambridge. So we have all of these little news clippings of me, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That wraps it up a little bit. And yes, of course, after school, then I went to Oxford and then I went to Cambridge, and I am now officially done with studying, hopefully. So there we go. I don't know if that was fun in any way, and I have loads of encyclopedias and dictionaries that are here. I have a first aid book, and oh, I forgot this. This is something I cannot forget. So this is called Le Dictionnaire des Filles, which is like the dictionary of girls, which I was obsessed with. Look how pretty it is, first of all. And I bought this, I think, in 2008. And this is just, it's like A to Z. And for each letter, they write about something that's relevant to girls with advice. And this is velvet, and every year they come out with one. And this was probably the best thing I've bought as a teenage girl. I was obsessed with it. And I pretty much would go back and read it every time I wanted to read about something, you know. For example, there's, it's a lot about what teenage girls ask. Questions that you're asking about your body, about growing up, about boys, about hormones, all of this. Very good. Strongly recommend. I need to check if they still come out with it, because this is a good present to give to young girls. But here we go. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been a very long video. I hope it's fun and you've learned something about my childhood, got a little insight there. And if I would love to know what is the one book that's defined your childhood, because for me I think it's this one, and the Witch series, definitely the two things I love the most. But yeah, here we go. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. For now, bye from Mauritius. See you soon.